What is up, y'all? You're here for Survivor on AfterBuzz TV, Episode 3. I am Goliath Strong. Today, we have one paranoid castaway who calls tribal to put a stop to conversations, and also two castaways bump heads. So stay tuned. Got it. What is up, everybody? You guys are tuning in to AfterBuzz TV for Survivor. This is Episode 3. I am Goliath Strong. We have one paranoid castaway today that calls a tribal meeting for everybody, and also two castaways bump heads when their survival is on the line. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us for AfterBuzz TV on this wonderful Wednesday.
We got lights! Yay, lights!
We're so happy to have you guys here. It's our favorite night of the week. We hope it is yours too. I'm your host, Paige Bonanno, and my wonderful co-host tonight.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm Veronica, Valencia.
What's going on, everybody? I am Timothy Michael. I'm sorry we missed last week.
Yes! But we are here now reviewing Episode 3. So hopefully you guys will tune in. We're so excited to have you here. As always, give us a like, subscribe, let us know how we're doing in the YouTube comments, and thanks for joining. What did you guys think of this episode?
I was disappointed.
Right? Paige, I loved your energy in that, but then it just went way
It
down.
just went
because
way down. I
just-
am the Debbie Downer.
I know, I feel the same way, Veronica. I feel like that last week's episode was just predictable.
Okay.
And it wasn't as exciting. Maybe I'm only saying that because the last episode was full of excitement.
Right,
Maybe
right.
that's why. But I don't remember an episode of Survivor being that just monotone.
Well, to be honest, okay, first of all, I think it was monotone as well, but it wasn't too bad to me, I guess, but I was just really disappointed with the outcome. That's just not what I wanted. And yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I'm the exact same way as you, Paige. I was more so disappointed in the outcome. Granted, you could say a move was made because they didn't go with the obvious choice, but I didn't like the choice they made.
I didn't like the choice they made either. So, okay, they voted out Jeremy, which I feel like, A, we had a ton to see left of Jeremy. Like, I just really liked his story. I liked everything about him. And B, they're going to keep letting Natalie go and go and go and go. I know it because they keep saying, oh, she's not a threat. She's this and she's that. But we don't need to vote her out right now. Well, this is how people make it to the end.
I mean,
true.
let's be real. There have been several Survivor players who have been sent home early when we could have said, oh, I want to see more of their story. I think that's just the name of the game. I wasn't unhappy with the vote. I thought that they made a right decision. I feel like we've seen it time and time again where they see a strong player and then nobody wants to act on it, and then that player gets to the end, or that player causes a muck or a ruckus later on because they didn't get them out early enough. So I commend the tribe for being like, you know what, this person's a threat potentially in the future,
Right.
so let's get him out now.
I don't really feel like anybody wanted to do that, though. And, props to Angelina for getting everybody and swaying them. I think that she did a good job in that sense. But nobody was really, I'm kind of confused how she did sway them because nobody was really on board to vote Jeremy anyways.
I feel like no one was on board to get out Jeremy kind of basically before they went to Tribal, but I felt like he did it to himself during Tribal when he just went full on throwing Natalie under the bus, like 100%, because, you know, he kind of reminded me of Dom from last season in that he's very blunt, very loud, but he doesn't have someone like Dom did who was kind of able to shield him a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But I think that, well, first of all, I really liked that we saw more of Jeremy's story. You know, this is the part that I love so much about Survivor because I'm very empathetic. So people's stories make me feel like, okay, we're getting something out of Survivor that's not just backstabbing and this and that.
Yes.
And with Jeremy, we saw a lot about how he thought his dad would be really proud of him seeing him play Survivor, and that it kind of makes you actually think because he was saying, you know, I felt very cheated out of, you know, my dad had Alzheimer's and he passed away early, and he felt very cheated out of his relationship with him because by the time he realized how great he was and how amazing of a dad he was and that he gave up so much for his son that it was too late to tell him how he felt. And I feel like a lot of times we don't really think about that kind of stuff, and it was cool to see him open up about it on Survivor.
I think we all love when we see the backstories of these players because it helps us connect to them and it makes us want to root for them.
Yeah.
And I related to Jeremy's story. You know, my grandfather had Alzheimer's as well, but I just didn't think in a Survivor aspect, in a game standpoint, that they made the wrong decision. Does Natalie annoy me? Yes. Does she bark orders and is she bossing? Does she do nothing around camp? Yes. But in the end, she will be easier to beat.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. I think she's easier to beat. I think I was just very like you, Paige. I enjoyed Jeremy's story, and I also just liked the way he was playing the game.
Yeah, and to be honest, Timothy, I don't think it was the wrong move. I personally was disappointed because I like Jeremy and I wanted to see more of his story. That's totally a personal thing. I think you're right that they made probably what was the right move. And I think that Natalie's been annoying everybody around camp and people now, even now that the tribe swapped in the following episode, but people are everybody's seeing it, regardless of if they started on the tribe with Natalie or not. I think she will get voted out at some point because people are getting so annoyed of her. But I was disappointed because I like Jeremy.
Yeah. I can see that. No, I completely understand where you guys are coming from. I think that, you know, from a connection standpoint, we obviously do connect with Jeremy a little bit more because we did get a little bit more of his backstory. And he's not, a complete butthead on the island like Natalie, but, it's a game.
I think his personality is just kind of like easy to relate to, or at least it's like funny for a lot of people. I think he's hilarious. Like, I thought the Jeremy and Mike alliance was great. And Mike was saying, oh, he bosses me around. And like, I like that. Like, I'm cool with that because Jeremy's so just funny. Like hilarious. He's very who he is. And I really liked seeing him play with other people. And his face, he can't hide anything on his face.
No. And that could have been a detriment in the future of this game because if you can't hide it, then you're probably going to get voted out or you're going to let something slip, which will make people want to vote you out. I did like the relationship between Mike and Jeremy. And I felt like Mike was definitely in this kind of limbo situation once Angelina approached him about voting off Jeremy.
Right.
But Angelina made a good argument. And if you think about it, Jeremy's a lawyer. He's an attorney. So if you think about it, him watching this back probably will watch Angelina make her argument and go, damn, that was a good argument.
Damn, that was a good argument.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask if you guys thought that... So Jeremy, I mean, it pretty much seemed like Natalie had the target on her back. And then do you think that Jeremy sitting everybody down at camp and saying, hey, we need to slow down these conversations and whatever, when he's really the one going around chit-chatting to everybody else, do you think that might have made people want to vote for him because he had done that?
I think it put stuff in people's heads, but I think because it was their very first vote, and typically when they're still in tribal, as Jeremy pointed out, it's about keeping them strong, typically physically strong in order to win challenges, which in this case, Natalie is not. So I think it put the idea into their head, but I think up until tribal, when Jeremy just kind of went off, they were just like, we could still go with Natalie because we're still a tribe.
It was definitely hypocritical, and I think that's what I think Jeremy had played a part in digging his own grave, if you will. I feel like once he called that tribal meeting and then, decided to say, hey, everybody don't have tribal side conversations, and then went and had side conversations, I feel like obviously people recognize that and that pissed them off. So, I mean, you kind of can't do that in Survivor. You can't kind of tell people what to do. But yet here's Natalie who tells me what to do on a daily basis. And then what I like about Natalie, though, is her relationship with John.
Yeah.
I don't know why he has such a connection with her.
John seems to stay very strong with Natalie and says, I know she's annoying, but I feel like I could work with her. And they seem to be pretty good. But on the other hand, we see that Jeremy and Natalie are totally at riff. They're always riffing since the beginning. And, they kind of feel like they should be friends and get along. But multiple times, Jeremy said, why do we keep getting off on the bad foot? Like, I want to get along with you. And they just are butting heads. They can't get along. Sorry.
No, I think no, good.
I just think that a lot of it comes from like Jeremy tries to tell Natalie how she's coming across and Natalie won't take it, but then she's the one that says, oh, I'm totally open to constructive criticism, and she's just not. I hope that when she watches this back, she kind of realizes the way that she acts.
I agree. And I think that it's sad that these two people couldn't come together because I think that they could have been a force to be reckoned with if they had learned to work together, if Natalie was a little bit more open, maybe if Jeremy had worked on his approach. Do I think that his initial approach when they had their initial talk, I think it was 2 episodes ago, was bad? No, but Natalie didn't hear it, so maybe he needed to try a different angle and he didn't.
But she was like, oh, you came up to me all intense, blah, blah, and he didn't.
No.
He never did. Last week, the week before, this week, I thought he approached it in a good way. I think maybe their personalities, like, we just have people we don't get along with.
Yeah, I think that they both just have very blunt personalities, and they're both very stubborn, I feel like. And so those two
That's fair.
just could not get along.
I really wish that we had an African American on our panel to kind of weigh in on that side of it, because I wonder if that had any kind of, I don't know, built up friction, because they were both successful African American people.
Well, and they kept mentioning that, like, hey, we're both African American. We want to, you know, get along, and they just didn't, and that's fine. I mean, but they felt like they had a connection from the beginning, and it just didn't work out for them. But yeah.
Speaking of Survivor, which we all love, our network, AfterBuzz TV, produces after shows for nearly all of your favorite TV shows, guys. From dramas, reality TV, which you're watching now, sci-fi, and more, there is no network that works harder to service television fans. Now, we need your help. We're asking that you please subscribe to one or more of our YouTube channels. By subscribing to our channel, YouTube will suggest content that's tailor-made for you, and you'll help AfterBuzz continue to grow. And if you're worried about those pesky notifications, don't be, because they're optional. So hit that subscribe button now for this channel and check out our other AfterBuzz TV YouTube channels as well. Let us know you did so in the comments, and we'll thank you on air like we normally do our shout outs. And for now, thanks for being the best fans and for helping us be the ESPN of TV talk.
Nice. The other thing this episode, the other thing that I kind of noticed was Bai obviously got hurt. B obviously got hurt. I always say that. I keep saying everybody's names wrong. I'm sorry. B obviously got hurt, and she's still in the game at this point.
Yes.
But, I mean, we were talking before how she's very physically fit, but she's maybe not as agile. I mean, she's an MMA fighter, so she's clearly freaking tough, and she's strong.
Well, that's why I brought it up, because in the previous challenge, they chose her to do the first leg of it against Alec, and she was going very slowly. And then she won again in this challenge, and she was able to keep up with him. Granted, he got stuck, so it was able to give her a little bit of time to catch up.
Anyway, yeah.
But I agree. I feel like she's an MMA fighter, so she is fit, like you were saying, Paige, but it's a different kind of fit. Again, she's not, I don't think she's as agile. So I was always curious on why they kept putting her in the more physical first leg parts of the challenge.
And I mean, I think she probably just comes across as, you know, I do think she's very, very extremely athletic.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a different type of athleticism. And also, you know, Natalie didn't sit out this challenge, and she had been sitting out previously for both challenges, I think, and she finally went in, and then she kind of lost the puzzle portion for them. And I mean, I'm wondering why they decided to put her on the puzzle situation. Like, you know, it's always just how they decide this. But
I mean, let's not forget, guys, once Jeff, you know, tells them what's going on, he says, you know, I'm going to give you a minute to strategize. So I'm pretty sure everybody sits there and goes, hey, I can do this. I'm sure B was like, hey, I can take the first leg. I'm sure Natalie sat there and said, you know what, I can do the puzzle piece. Because, you know, she did well. She wasn't going to go wrap herself around that rope and that log. So.
But they were saying, like, it was afterwards, they were like, you know what, I like somebody that can kind of say that they're not, you know, performing right or whatever, and Natalie wasn't doing that, which, first of all, I think that she should have played. I'm glad that she played. I think it would have been ridiculous if she sat out again. I'm glad that she applied herself, but wasn't there a point where she could have said, hey, somebody else, like, tag in?
I agree with Timothy. I think that was really the only part that maybe she felt she could do more confidently than trying to deal with knots and the ropes and everything like that. I was curious because, like, I know that they can't sit out in back-to-back challenges when there are separate reward challenges and separate actual elimination challenges. But what about when it's, like, a reward and a challenge? Because I feel like he didn't necessarily make that disclaimer, like, oh, you can't sit out people in back-to-back challenges.
Yeah, I mean, let us know, you guys.
That's just a confirmation. I'm just curious.
I think just an opinion. I think that if it's a back-to-back challenge, like obviously in the beginning of every Survivor season, they don't do separate reward and immunity challenges. They usually do them together. So I feel like because she sat out last time, she couldn't sit out this time. Yeah. And now she can sit out next time, but then she can't sit out the other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of that, I feel like even if she could sit out multiple times, if she could sit out back-to-back, why would you?
She shouldn't.
Right, because that just puts an even bigger target on your back. It's like, well, what are you doing? You're just sitting there.
I will say, though, when she went back to camp, she didn't say, hey, guys, I'm sorry for messing up the challenge, because I don't really feel like she's the type of person that apologizes that way, because we've never seen that happen. Nope. But I will say that she did talk to people at camp and said, you know what, I tried my best, and the cards didn't fall right this time. And it is what it is, and I got to truck forward and scramble on. So
I was going to say, one of the other things I at least enjoyed about this episode was that the Davids finally won their first challenge.
Yes!
Yes!
Because I was nervous for a minute that they were going to lose again. And those are kind of uneventful first halves of the seasons where you see one tribe just constantly
Constantly
win. And so the fact that they did win this one seems like, okay, maybe there will be a different type of balance.
Heck yes, David.
Yeah, they definitely needed it, especially with everything that's been going on with the weather and the morale of the tribe. I feel like this was definitely a win that they needed, and I'm glad that they got it.
Yeah, I agree. Do we want to do our MVP for this week?
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to do it.
Yes.
Okay. Do you guys know who you're voting?
Yes.
Yes.
I love the music. Thank you, Josh, our wonderful engineer. Oh, y'all are going fast. Okay, wait, hold on.
Hold up to the camera, but you can't see it.
He's so paranoid about it. Okay, I'm good. Don't look.
All right. So, let's see who our MVP for the week is. And let us know if you guys can guess whose is whose. Vote 1, Angelina, with a sad face. Vote 2, Angelina. Vote 3, baby, Angelina! Woo! Angelina, you killed it this week. I put a sad face because I didn't want to vote for you as MVP.
Really?
No.
Here's the thing.
She made a good move. I think she did a good job. I just personally wish that Jeremy was still there. I think she is the MVP, but I'm sad that I had to vote for her as MVP.
I completely agree with you, Paige. I
Just
was
on
not...
a personal level, I like Jeremy.
I like the fact that I voted for Angelina. I think she definitely
You would like-
She
You
definitely
would like
deserved
that.
to win MVP. I mean, she turned the tribes, in the entire tribe's opinion, from voting Natalie to Jeremy.
Yeah.
And not only that, in the challenge that the Davids did win, if we remember correctly, Angelina was sitting on the sidelines and she knew the puzzle.
Right.
So not only is she smart clearly in puzzles because she was doing it literally from across the field, but she also has this persuasive kind of characteristic where she can persuade a whole tribe to vote for somebody else rather than their initial target. So I think that she deserved MVP this week.
And I also feel, granted, we don't know if it's going to come back to bite her in the butt, but I also think she did it in a way where it didn't put a target on her back.
Yes.
It made it seem like she was in the clear. She made this big move and everything is smooth sailing.
I'm glad you said that. Sorry to cut you off, because she even when after this challenge, after she told Natalia on the sidelines, I know what the puzzle is. She didn't even tell Jeff at the end of the challenge, like, I knew what the puzzle was. I could have did it. No, she let Natalia say that for her. So she doesn't sound braggadocious about it. She's very smart, you guys.
She said that her persuasion skills are something that's so great about her, and I agree. Like, I agree with everything you guys said. I just personally didn't want to vote for her because I like Jeremy, and I wish that he was still in the game, but I think that Angelina killed it this week. I really do. Yep. So that was season 37, episode 3. I am Goliath, or what was it called?
Goliath Strong.
I am Goliath Strong. And we are AfterBuzz Strong.
Hey!
But yeah, that was a short little snippet of episode 3. We're gonna get into episode 4 right now for tonight. If you guys want to tune in, thank you so much for joining us, you guys. I'm your host, Paige Bonanno, and you can find me all over social media at Paige Bonanno.
Hey guys, Veronica Valencia. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at it's me, Veronica_V.
And I am Timothy Michael. You can find me everywhere at I am Timothy Mike.
Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you in a minute for episode 4.
Bye, guys.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.